Welcome to Tarot TV in the series entitled Tarot Cards, The Origins in Kemet and Egypt. For this particular series, we have been thus far going through all of the major arcana cards, leading us up to the 18th card. Here we have the god Khpera. Khpera is a scarab god who is known to raise the sun back into the sky. Amun-Ra, the sun god, has to go through a trial by moving through the east to the west. In doing so, he faces his opposition, the great serpent Apophis. Khpera is an emanation of the god Ra when he is reborn after this process. In the moon card, you can see a scarab-like beetle or being, a crustacean, coming out or emerging from the depths of the sea, which symbolizes the river Nile. This is the goddess Satis. When Ra dies, and I'm going to show you in the next slide the sequence of Ra's journey. When he dies, he's reborn as the scarab Khpera. Khpera then brings his soul back into the sky where he becomes Ra once again. So this is a transitional period. This is why the moon signifies a wolf and a dog. They're both canine in species, but it represents the metamorphosis of time to domesticate an animal. Before, it was living in the wild for centuries. They're no different, but it goes through this period. It's kind of like the Paleolithic and Neolithic era. The moon signifies a change in era. It represents how the subconscious mind reprograms the conscious mind and then your reality. So, similarly enough, this is Ra's battling his own fear and his own death. Although Ra's an immortal being, this sun is always dying and being reborn. So the moon card signifies your deepest fears and worries, but often what you don't realize is what you're scared of is still you, or the things that you're scared to face. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. As explained in the story highlights, you're going to see the Wheel of Fortune card and how it signifies the great serpent god Apep. Apep was born from the waters of chaos, just like Ra was. So they're brothers, but they're constantly battling each other. This was in the Wheel of Fortune depiction seen on the story highlights. If you're following the series, thank you so much. And for you newcomers, welcome. So this is the journey of Amun-Ra. This is the boat that he is on in the celestial skies while he's venturing into the afterlife. He faces the great serpent Apep or Apophis. He has some of his greatest warriors like Set and Horus and Sekhmet serve as his protectors while he's going through this journey. So at the end of Ra's journey, he reaches a mountaintop known as the Baku, where he then sees the Tree of Life. Emerging from the Tree of Life is the final form of the Apep, the immortal serpent. Okay? Ra then assumes the form of a rabbit-like cat, a leopard-like rabbit cat, kind of like a jackalope or something. And he proceeds to cut off the head of that serpent, finalizing his task in the afterlife, preserving the Tree of Life, preserving life itself. Unfortunately, as he kills the Apophis or the Apep, some of the poison gets on Ra, killing him. In this point, he transitions and becomes the scarab beetle Khpera. When Egyptians saw scarabs holding dung in the air, dung beetles, they perceived this as Ra, bringing the sun back into the horizon. So I'm going to show you the next slide. So because major arcana card number 18 signifies Khpera, it often can also represent that transition of fear that's happening in your life, that troublesome point in your life where the mental anxiety is coming through, the depression, even the angst. You don't know what's going to happen next, so you become unnerved. You enter a state of restlessness. This is the transition of Ra before he's fully reborn into the sky. It even shows us that God has to journey and venture, and that even God is fearful at times. It shows us that we humans possess qualities of the divine. So that's my take on this card. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed Imhotep. Join me tomorrow. I will be discussing the 19th major arcana card. Peace and love.